Alright, today we've got a game against an attacker who is underutilized but potentially pretty powerful. See it right there. The Plasma Flareon for 2 colorless energy. Its attack, I think it's called Vengeance, does 10 damage plus 10 more damage for each Pokemon in your discard pile. So that can get pretty high up later in the game as your discard pile gets filled up with Pokemon. There's a Dragon called Gabite there, so that can be used to pull out Dragon types, and then you discard those with Ultra Ball. Fuels that Flareon's attack, and yeah, pretty nice deck we're gonna have to go up against here. And my opponent flips over a Boundaries Crossed Audino. I was flipping over that ability right there. If you don't know what it does, it's a splice between Full Heal and Potion with the full effect of neither. You can discard Audino from your hand, and it heals 1 special condition, so too bad if you stay asleep from laser. As well as 10 damage, and what it also does in that deck is it's a Pokemon that goes to the discard pile, which means it also acts as a permanent plus power for Flareon, so very nice addition to that deck. We got a Skyla for a level ball, and we got a Gibble and an Eevee come down, so those will be able to attack next turn. And definitely making the most of that Audino start, probably not what my opponent wanted, but got a DCE, so it's going to be able to use its Hit Bump attack. Does 30 damage and applies a Sand Attack effect, which means my attack might fail if I flip Tails. So a little bit like Confusion, but no immediate negative effect if it fails. So you tend to be a little bit more interested in maybe going for it with Sand Attack effect. So looks like we only had 1 other Plasma Energy left in the deck outside, or we only have 1 more left right now, so that means there's 1 prize, so we got to keep that in mind for future colorless machines. Flareon comes down, it's got a Fire Energy attached, Float Stones onto Audino and Junipers, so probably not the ideal Float Stone target. I think the thing's only got a 1, might be a 2 retreat cost, but either way, if it's going to be Junipered away, then certainly it's not something you want to stay active. And my opponent loads up the bench with another Gibble, another Eevee, and a Keldeo. Now, single Keldeo is not necessarily death for this deck whatsoever. And right now I've got a decision to make. I'm only going to be able to pull off a Blizzard this turn. We did top deck a Water. So, what I could do is wait till next turn and be able to Frost Prison that Keldeo after I capture it and just trap it active. But what I ultimately decide to do here is go ahead and capture it now, hope that it can't retreat, get some damage around with Blizzard, and then if it doesn't retreat, I'll definitely be able to attack it next turn with Frost Prison, since I won't get hit bumped by Audino. So we'll see if this pays off. Keldeo does have the 2 retreat costs, but with a Float Stone it has a free retreat cost. And I know with that, that's a huge blunder. I only have 1 other catcher left, and yuck. So this Keldeo is now going to be a major problem. This is why I later went to 3 catcher in this deck, by the way. But I only got 2 in there right now. At least there's only 1 Pokemon in the discard pile. So as far as hard-hitting offense, my opponent's not quite there yet. I can either do a Frost Prison, but this Articuno has already taken, I believe, 120 damage. We finally get a supporter, it's a Skyla, so that'll be a Juniper for us next turn at least. So we can throw it out, probably going to throw down this Articuno, and kind of be content to Blizzard. I mean, the attack might fail anyway, so I definitely don't want to put all my Plasma Energies on 1 bird. The attack does indeed fail, so we've only got, what, 60 on Keldeo and 10 on everyone else, so at least we do have 110 damage to work with. That's a knockout on a Flareon later on with Noir. As another Flareon starts getting powered up. And let's see, we got an Ultra Ball and Juniper. That's usually pretty nice, because you'll be able to get something good before you have to waste it all with Juniper. So we're definitely going to Ultra Ball for a Duskull. And we might want to play this switch to cancel out the Hit Bump attack effect. Okay, we're going to get the Duskull, we're going to switch into the bench Articuno with 1 energy. Bring it up, that'll cancel out Hit Bump since Articuno went to the bench. Juniper, and I was hoping for a Water and a colorless, and instead I got a handful of Ghosts. What is this? So maybe we can at least get out Noir. And I got a decision to make here. I can either leave this Articuno up active, or I can retreat, having to discard that precious Plasma Energy, but I can do it. And I'll be able to attack without a flip, And thanks to the blizzard damage from earlier, with a laser, I'll actually be able to knock out this annoying little audino. And I think that's what I'm going to do, mainly because I want to try to take a prize and get a supporter out of the prizes if I at all can. So let's see what I can rip out with this after the laser damage knocks out the audino. Brings up Keldeo for free retreat, and we got an in. Awesome. So that's something I can use to cycle through some more cards, which is definitely what I need to do right now. We need to get the offense rolling. And there is an audino being used out of the hand just to heal the 10 damage, but I believe since I had taken 120, that actually made it just enough for a knockout with Vengeance. So 50 damage knocks me out. And I think I'm going to push up a Dusknoir. We have no shot of doing anything useful. I know I only have one Plasma Energy left in the deck, so double Colorless Machine is out of the question. But we do have one Colorless Machine. We're going to go ahead and throw down Verbank, and I guess throw down a Laser just to get 3 more damage on the board. And we're just going to end. Actually gives my opponent more cards, even though they just took a prize. But that's fine. We get to see some more stuff. And still not a fantastic hand, but at least we were able to get down a Water Energy. So there's a Shirin, gets 3 more cards. Ultra Ball's away. Looks like maybe a Garchomp or something there. Gets out a Gabite, and that's going to start the Gabite train rolling. So one comes down, Dragon Call for another, and another one comes down, and now it's going to be interesting to see what comes out with this. So that's a bad Garchomp. But I think that might actually be an intentional pick because the Garchomp's attack, the bad Garchomp's attack, is actually a colorless requirement for 40. And since my opponent seems to run primarily fire energy as opposed to fighting, that Garchomp also has a free retreat. So I think that might actually be intentional. But anyway, there's a Vengeance knocking out the Dusknoir for 70. And still no water energy in the hand. So we're probably going to end up to Skyla for Juniper again. We don't seem to be able to hit the draw supporters when we want them, but we can hit Skylas, which I guess is better than no supporter at all. I'm going to go ahead and Ultra Ball. We can afford to discard the rare candy since I do have the Dusclops already in play. And we're definitely going to Skyla for a Juniper. And I guess hope we can draw a water energy off of that. That's might be our best bet right now. We're going to Skyla. What are we going to pick up? Definitely going to be a Juniper. Definitely going to be a Juniper. Just browse around to check and see what's left. And I also have 2 Ditto still. That's right. We still have a Ditto left in the deck too, for whatever purpose that is. It's probably served its purpose at this point. But I had to think about maybe using some Sinister Hand shenanigans. And I decided, nah, we're not going to do it yet. Gonna wait till next turn. Juniper. Unfortunately, since I'm really out of the capacity to Colorless Machine, I can't threaten a Frost Prison next turn. But maybe I can get off a Blizzard if I can get any energy, which at this point is going to have to be a water. All my Plasma Energies are either gone in the discard pile or prized. So let's see what kind of offense my opponent's able to mount right here. It's probably not going to be 170 damage, but there is a Dragon Call for another Garchomp. Looks like another Gabite also with a Dragon Call. And Shirin draws 3 more cards. Waiting to see how much this Vengeance, or I think that's what it's called, gets powered up. And there's also the possibility of a Heat Tackle for 90, which I believe is the Japanese name for Flare Blitz, but Flareon lovers know all about Flareon and Flare Blitz, so perhaps to avoid rubbing salt in the wound, they kept it as Heat Tackle, and the US card as well. But we just saw a Busybody being used there, so Audino got discarded, and then a Computer Search discarding the 2 things that got Dragon Called, so that's up to 100 damage. Looks like another Eevee comes down as well. And so that's going to make Vengeance be 100, and there's a Lightning Energy on that Eevee, which makes me think it's going to be the Plasma Jolteon with the Electro Diffuse, I think is what it's called. I don't bench my Articuno here, which I definitely should have. Now I've got no attackers left. I know I got no Plasma Energy left, but I've also got no attackers left now either. So we're all in on this Articuno. And yeah, I'm thinking that Electro Diffuse does some damage. I think it's 40. And if the opponent's a Pokemon EX, then they also will be unable to attack. But I'm not fearing that too much since I've got Switch and Float Stone to help me out there. So of course, we Juniper, and do you guys really think I would draw an energy off 7? Of course not. So instead, we're gonna have to resort to a backup plan, which is gonna be using Dusknoir to move damage and get a knockout with Sinister Hand, and hope we can get an energy out of the prizes. So we're gonna move damage off stuff here, and that's gonna be our plan. And sure enough, we do get a knockout here. But, yep, we're going to be able to get an energy out of the prizes. Awesome, awesome. So, pause it right here. Alright. I want you guys to look at this board right here. You see we've got 60 damage on a Keldeo. I think there may be a little bit more damage on a Gabite. And we got a Blizzard, which is going to hit Flareon for a knockout and spread some damage as well. I'm going to give you guys a moment here and see if you can identify what else I should do before attacking. If you answered move 50 or 40 at least, 50, yeah, 50 because it's got 60 hit points, 50 damage onto Eevee to be able to knock that out as well, you were correct. Because now let's look what's going to happen. I'm going to take a prize here, get a rare candy that I don't need, and oh, the Flareon comes down. There's a Dragon Call for Rayquaza, and yeah. In fact, there's also a DCE just to make it even worse. And now Vengeance did not see it coming. Because of the lightning, I was expecting another Jolteon, not another Flareon. And we could have knocked out that Eevee very easily, but we did not. And as a result of that, we get 180 damage with Vengeance. And yeah, all my attackers are gone. And I lose the game because of that. I don't think my opponent would have had any other real form of attack if I had knocked out that Eevee on the bench. So I'm able to triad back a Articuno. I can Float Stone, Retreat. I don't know why I bother capturing Keldeo, but I do. Bring this up, and yeah, I mean, Vengeance is doing 180, and I cannot attack. I can't accelerate energy. My plasma energies are gone. And look and see if there's any way we can possibly get out of this. I might be able to take one more prize with Noir moving damage around. I'm not sure if I even want to bother doing that, though. But yeah, didn't knock out that Eevee. I easily could have, and there you go. Lose the game because I don't want to be mean to a baby Eevee. But there's a Dusknoir, would have knocked out either one. And that's the game. So you can clearly see where I messed up there. Yeah, that was a pretty big blunder. Underutilizing Dusknoir. Dusknoir could have been MVP, but instead didn't tell him what to do properly, and that was that. So we're going to move on to the next game. Thanks for watching. Later days.